I want to go back with my bar and chain, and I've rotated my bar because each time I take a chain off, replace it with a new one, or whether I'm cleaning or doing any maintenance, I always rotate my bar over. Putting a chain back on, one of the things, I've tried to decide why this is, and I think I figured out something. If you are using your chainsaw for removing trees, taking trees that are standing and taking them down, you want to make sure that the chain cutter, the point on your chain cutter, is facing away from the power head out to the tip of the bar. Still see chainsaws that have the chains on backwards, so make sure when you're putting your chain back on that you're always putting it on with the point of the cutter facing away from you or towards the end of the bar. So at this point, I've got a chain this chainsaw has not been ran today, so the chain is not hot. When you're putting a chain back on a chainsaw in the woods and there's a lot of temperature in the bar and the chain, you want to adjust your chain tension a little bit differently, because what we know about metal is that it expands when it gets hot, and when it cools down, it fractionally gets a little bit smaller. Not a lot, but some. Metal obviously doesn't stretch. We talk about chain stretching. That's more of rivets in the chain seating and making the chain loop fractionally longer. But as it gets hot, it will get a little larger, and when it cools down, it will shrink. So you want to make sure you don't have too much chain tension on a chain that's hot. One of the things that you get with newer chainsaws is captured bar nuts. And you see, if you've ever been out in the woods and you took your bar and chain off and you lost a bar nut, if you don't have an extra, you may be in trouble. If you lose both of them, you're certainly in trouble. So captured bar nuts are a nice feature on some of today's saws. So I like to put my side cover on and I adjust my chain. I get asked a lot, what proper chain tension is, and that's a very good question. And I'll tell you that chain tension could vary based on bar length. But the way I was taught years ago was if you want to know what proper chain tension is, get it tight to where you think it needs to be, and then if the chain snaps back into the bar rail like a guitar string or a banjo string, if you will, and it moves around the bar, then that's good chain tension. I think we need to tighten it up just a little bit more. So I usually loosen the rear bar nut. Some people raise the tip of the bar, some people don't. I used to raise it a lot. Now I don't do that anymore. So I don't usually hold the tip up anymore. I just tighten it up to where it thinks it goes. I let gravity help me out. I also see a lot of people putting chains on with the saw line on its side. I've always learned to do it with the saw sitting like this, and I go back to that gravity. I let gravity hold it on the top side of the bar, and I make sure I get it on the sprocket. So I think this is really good chain tension here. Now I tighten up my other bar nut.